Welcome back to Science vs. Conspiracy Over Coffee, the show that explores the possibilities of what can't be easily categorized or explained away. I'm your host on this journey into the unknown. My name is Bob, otherwise known as Conspiracy. There are many things in this world that can't be easily explained. You catch a glimpse of something out of the corner of your eye, a shadow that seems to be staring back at you. Or you find your mug in a completely different spot than where you left it. This is where we start today. Today on the show, our guests have been investigating these types of phenomenon for many years. Over the next hour, these two seasoned paranormal investigators will share some unbelievable stories from their investigations. Brew some coffee, pull up a chair, and open your mind. Today on Science vs. Conspiracy Over Coffee, we will be discussing the paranormal with Glen and Janessa Ferguson. Welcome back. Glen and Janessa have a combined 40 years of paranormal experience. They offer advice, education, and recovery of all things paranormal. Glen is the founder of the Canadian Paranormal Society. Glen also writes articles for Great British Ghosts and the Spectral Times on topics related to all things paranormal. And he's currently working as an actor in Hollywood North. He can be seen on shows such as Supernatural, Wayward Pines, Timeless, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and Van Helsing. Janessa got involved in 2009 to assist Glen with running the society. She continues to provide good client relations with past investigations and is fearless in the field. Welcome both of you to the show. All right, well, welcome to the show. So from an early age, I grew up in Ontario with my parents talking about ghost stories and other sort of conspiracies. And I remember one of the first stories that I heard was about the screaming tunnels in Niagara and the Lake, and all these stories really got me hooked. So, what was it for you guys that got you hooked? How did you get into this?
I got into it from pretty much birth. My mother and grandmother were both mediums. So it was a natural progression for me. We weren't a religious family, but we were very spiritual. We went to
Okay.
church. I grew up with my mother having groups over every weekend to do channeling sessions. And I ended up getting curious and got involved. Although I had my own experiences as a child. And from the age of 5 and upwards, because we lived in a converted chapel of rest. But it was progression. With my mother's group, she had a couple of people in there who were actually investigators.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, you don't believe it? Let's go. We'll do an investigation. And it just started from there. First time I went on an investigation, I hated it because I got attacked. But the next week I was on the phone and said, ooh, where are we going next?
Right.
I said I'd never do it again. But it's one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Janessa?
Me? I didn't grow up with it. Wasn't really talked about. But I've been married to him. And he basically, you've always had a curiosity, but he basically brought me in. And I'm just one of those people that will just let it flow, prove to me, and then I just accept all the other feelings that come along as you delve into. You become more sensitive the more you're into it.
Yeah.
Right. So are you more of on the skeptical side of it, or
No.
did you go into being more skeptical?
She wasn't quite sure whether she was skeptical or not.
Okay.
She first came in. She came in as my case manager when I ran the Canadian Paranormal Society. Because I was short on case managers at the time, and she's got the gift of the gab, so she can talk to anybody, basically. And she was a great case manager. And she just got involved through that.
Right. So let's go back. You said when you were younger, on the first investigation that you went on, you were attacked. What happened there?
We went to Edinburgh Castle, and I was working with a guy, another investigator down in the dungeons. and I got lifted off the floor and pinned against the wall for about 35, 40 seconds.
Oh, wow.
The guy there was just taking photographs of me. Oh, this is so cool. Click, 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 click. Get me off the wall.
Yeah.
Get me off the wall. And I panicked. I wasn't quite used to being physically manhandled that way by something I can't see.
Well, I mean, you physically, he was open to it, and obviously, the more he panicked, the more energy the spirit that was doing it
Fed off it, had the extra energy because of my fear.
Yeah, because they feed the energy off your fear, right?
Right.
Especially if you're a negative energy.
So, in your other investigations, has anything like that happened again, or?
We've had numerous investigations with the Canadian Paranormal Society that were kind of dubious at best, and definitely eye-opening, especially that place we had in Kelowna with the door slamming.
Oh yeah,
constantly.
There was a residential, and the door slammed so hard that it shook the house. I was upstairs.
I just walked in the room and it slammed behind me, and I came back out and I'm sitting talking to the client. Slammed again in my face. I'm like, okay, let's go upstairs and take a breather before we.
But he, of course, in that point where it slammed twice, he went into the room, looked for, did something do this? Did,
possible draft, maybe.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's no windows in that bathroom that we went into. And it's 2 rooms. It's like a laundry room on one side and a bathroom on the other. So you have to go through the main door into the bathroom, then through another door to get into the laundry room. And we were in the laundry room when it slammed the first time. Then we came out, and I'm on the radio to her, like, did you just hear that? The door just slammed in my face.
It woke me up.
And as I'm saying that, whap, it closed again. And even when we went back on an investigation with the Canadian Paranormal Society, my team, happened again.
Wow.
Right in front of people's faces. They're like, whoa. A few choice words were said by my investigators. I won't mention here, but
that same house he had his hair played with as well. So there was more than one spirit, and some of the history of that area was there was a
plantation,
a coffee plantation there in Kelowna. Tobacco, or is it tobacco? It wasn't coffee; it was tobacco. And the guy that ran the orphanage took the kids out of the orphanage and, child labor. Yeah. Kept them in cages and stuff.
Holy cow.
On his property.
He
was actually arrested and charged and sent to jail for numerous years beyond that.
Yeah, wow.
I think a lot of it for me is the history of locations. Not so much the activity, but the history that intrigues me to begin with. Because
so how do you find these places?
Word of mouth from other investigators who have done those locations. And basically just Googling haunted locations in Canada is the best for us.
That location, another team had asked us to go in because they thought we would be better suited to work with the client because it was a residential.
Right. So you say client, are people hiring you to go in and do this, or?
You get hired to clear a place, not to investigate a place. The investigating is for free, but if they want us to clear, that we charge for, because it takes a lot of energy out of us to clear. It doesn't take as much to just investigate, because there's a mediumship involved, there's a clearing involved, there's
travel
and
expenses, so it depends on where we're going.
And clearing can take us a couple hours, and then we might have to come back because they might, we have to work with the client as well. Social work we have to do social work for the afterlife and social work for the living. And the idea is not to have to come back, but a lot of times you have to come back, and we don't charge for the second time because we've charged the first, right?
So walk us through the process. You find a location like that place in Kelowna. What's your process? What do you do, and how big's your team? That sort of thing.
Initially, the team was about 10 people, I believe.
Yeah, now it's down to 4.
Basically 4, which is it's good. Like, people move on, they go to different groups, they decide that this is not their thing. They don't want to investigate anymore. Maybe they've had a bad experience, or maybe they're just bored with the entire thing. Because investigations for us are not really that exciting. You can sit there for hours and hours and hours and nothing happens. Then you make it that little dangle that tells you, oh, maybe something is here. Maybe you get a voice or a disembodied voice, or you see a partial apparition, or stuff gets moved around while you're standing there and watching it in front of your eyes.
It's akin to like fishing. You go out fishing for 8 hours, and this is just analogy. And you're out there, and you're not getting a bite. In the last 10 minutes, you get a bite.
Right.
You just made your whole fishing trip. We might go to an investigation, spend 6 hours there, and we get nothing. And then we go to 30 hours of review on all our equipment, and you can't speed it up, and you find something. And that's what makes it worthwhile. But sometimes for me, it's hard for me to stay awake because I have to get up early in the morning, and by about 2:00, I'm a little bit of cranky.
Right.
Yeah, just as the activity is about to start.
Yeah.
Like, oh, good.
Yeah.
So I guess that brings up another question. Like, what kind of equipment do you use?
EMF gear, digital voice recorders, thermal cameras, IR cameras, full spectrum cameras, trigger devices.
What's that thing that thing that Troy has?
Oh, the SLS camera.
The SLS camera. Yeah.
Structured light source camera.
Yeah. But one of our pleasant ones is when we get called in to do locations that say are historic locations, and they'd like to, we go in and we investigate, we get some evidence, and they ask us back to do a fundraiser. We did one in April.
Yeah,
a fundraiser
at
Fort Steele. It was a fundraiser for one of the gentlemen that worked there. He had stage 4 cancer, and to give him some, lives in Cranbrook. The cancer center is in Kelowna, and we raised quite a bit of money overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the week after we left, the information center almost burned down to the ground.
Yeah. And I got hit.
You got nailed a couple of times.
Yeah. There was a spirit in the jail that he died in the cell and
froze to death
in the cell, and they couldn't get the guard to come and open the door. He couldn't hear them. And they've lost the key to the lock of that cell, and the guy really would like to go, but we can't clear him until we get open in that cell, and they don't have the key to the lock to open the cell.
Oh no.
They can't find the key.
And they can't find the key. And
actually, the last time an investigator went in there, he got attacked in the cell. That's why they locked the door.
Oh.
So now they can't find the key anymore. It's like...
And I got attacked. And I've had some health issues, so Glen's getting me out of there quite quickly. And COVID, let's not go into COVID. That caused all the health issues. But, I feel that he would like to move on, but I can't move him on until we can get the cell open.
Which is kind of weird. That
right.
He still believes that that door is locked and he can't get out, even though he travels in between the 3 or 4 cells in that little corridor.
Mm-hmm. So do you find that? Yeah, do you find that a lot, that the spirits that are trapped there, they move around the environment, but are trapped in that one room, like with the door being locked, type of thing?
I think it's their mental concept that they're still in jail. But they have to be officially released. So you got to open the door and say, okay, you can go now.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess it
depends. Somebody that understands that they can go to the light. If we open the door and 2 or 3 of us are standing there saying, you can leave now. you can go to the light. There's somebody waiting for you. And at that point, then he can leave. We did that earlier at Fort Steele. We had a little boy, and there was 4 of us creating a light
energy field, a light field.
And the little boy came on because he had somebody waiting for him on the other side, and a spirit came running down from there. He saw the light, the energy. It came running out and said, I want to go. I want to go.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was just coming down, like he saw, and his wife was waiting for him on the other side.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you create these light fields that you mentioned?
Use your mind to create an energy, to create a gate.
Okay.
Yeah, to create a gate. And when you have 4 powerful mediums or empaths, you combine it becomes a pretty strong light force. I mean, some people may say this, oh, that's just hokey, but it's not. When I go on into an investigation, I protect myself with a light over top of me,
an aura.
That's the word I'm looking for. And I do it because I am very open, and I don't want to be, I've had health issues, and I don't want to be hit up. I said COVID. I got the initial COVID before vaccines. We had just shut down, and of course the job I had.
Yeah.
It wasn't conducive to
avoiding possibility of getting COVID.
Yeah.
Right.
I retired from it, so I no longer drive transit bus.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. The early days of COVID, and a lot of people are finding that the long COVID symptoms.
And that's what it was. It was long COVID. It damaged my heart. So, yeah. So I have to bathe myself in white light to protect myself. And but it was interesting. Like when we were at Fort Steele, there was other people there that were quite high energy, and they really enjoyed the presentation because we acknowledged there was a lady there weeping, and we acknowledged the fact that she lost her husband. He went to jail or something of that nature. I can't remember. You remember that one?
No, I can't remember. We saw so many people that night because we'd rotate them. We had 3 groups going. There was John and Coogan and we were working one group. We had
Sarah and Mark
working in another group, and then we had me and you working one team. So we'd give them like half an hour in each location that we were in. We took the jail and the courthouse, and other guys took the hotel, and there's one other location they had. The theater, yeah. So it worked out well. And we had staff there that would actually contact by radio, say, oh, we're switching now. So I tell you guys, get ready to move on to the next location.
Which one had the most activity?
Well, for us, we were only in the jail and the courthouse, so we can't really evaluate what the rest of the locations were like at that time. But
and every person's energy is different.
Yeah.
John and Karina are much different than we are, and Sarah and Mark, one empath and one medium, and they're different. So I don't know what they experienced. We just know what we did. I mean, and we've been in locations before, like when we did the ranch, O'Keefe Ranch. We had experiences in one of the Schubert house, but we had also had experiences, or he had, in the manor.
Yeah.
So we were coming in. We were just closing up after the whole event, and Glen and I were packing up. He was at one end of the room at a doorway, and I was coming in from outside after taking stuff out back to our car. And we had our case of cameras sitting on the kitchen table, and it went flying across the room, and neither one of us were there.
Wow.
No, well, we were close to it, but not close enough
to be able to
knock it off the table.
Yeah, but it didn't. The Mrs. Schubert, who was the owner of the original house, That's enough of people on my kitchen table. It's only for eating.
Yeah, and no equipment, no feet, no nothing on the table. And it's
Yeah.
like back in the day, that was sacrilege to put anything on the table except for food. So I
Right.
can understand why she, because you normally wouldn't be able to get into that location where we had the kitchen table because it's generally glassed off. So you can like look
Okay.
in, but you can't actually go into that room. We were in that room. They took away all the screens.
And we had people, there was a boy spirit there, and we had the devices going, and he was playing with it. And
Faber.
Faber. And so we had people going in and asking questions and handling the equipment, and so then when at the end of the night, she was quite tired of
People being
being in her kitchen. So she told us too. But in the manor, he had been grabbed, and we got a disembodied voice.
Yeah, what was it? It wasn't Quit Dancing. That was at Hat Creek.
That was at Hat Creek.
Shut Up.
Shut Up, yeah.
In a British accent. A female
Oh, wow.
British accent from the olden days. I'm like, well, that's got to be the governess who took care of the kids because we were being noisy.
Right. So you got to be quiet.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah, and the grabbing, I think, was Faber again, because he goes between.
Yeah.
He grabbed his leg, and Glenn drops things because he was laying down and get his legs grabbed, and he dropped stuff, and you can hear it.
We were upstairs in the main corridor. You got the bedrooms on either side, and then you got a few rooms around the corner. But at the end of the corridor is the staircase that comes up from the main floor. And you have people like walking up and down the stairs, like literally walking up and down the stairs, bump, 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 bump.
Wow.
So I was sitting there filming it down the end of the corridor. I'm lying down on the floor in Faber's room, shooting the thing, and something grabbed my leg. Like grabbed it and pulled, and I dropped the camera. I actually have video of that somewhere. I'll have to send it to you at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's it was an interesting location. Like we've done a lot of other locations that have been just as interesting, like Barkerville. We had Barkerville for 4 days at a time. So we did 2 visits. We did 4 days. We didn't see a quarter of the investigation stuff we wanted to see, even 4 days. So it was
wow.
Well, they have like 120 buildings to get through, and we only did like 6 in 4 days.
And one of our buddies, Troy, who is one of our investigators that we're still very, we still go with, and he says he put his hand in close up like that, and it felt like
put his hand in cobwebs,
which is not a good sign.
No, it's not.
No. And then suddenly he got slapped on the back, and he had 2 handprints on his back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that scared him. Like he's one of those guys that like pokes a lot. Like, well, I was getting something weird here. Feels like kind of weird. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. He's like, oh well, it's still kind of weird. And then all of a sudden he come running out. He's like, something, my back's burning. So he lifted up his shirt, and you could see the handprints on his back. He says they weren't happy with you shoving a piece of equipment into their body.
Yeah, don't poke the bear.
Don't do that.
Don't poke the bear. But that was one of the buildings we had. I don't know what else you had up there. I wasn't there with them.
Oh, we had so much going on up there. And we were there before it actually opened up for the season. So the place was empty. It was just a spring runoff. So I'm walking around the ground trying to dig up gold as I'm walking around Barkerville and stuff. Yeah, that was definitely a huge location.
So when some of these investigations that you've gone on, have they turned out to be kind of a bust, like you being like faulty wiring or like a draft, or like that the person just being not at all supernatural or paranormal?
Yeah, we try to debunk most cases, like say drafts, creaky floorboards, that kind of stuff that would actually create some sort of idea that something is going on within a location. Generally, it's nothing serious. We get a lot of that. Now, not every location we go into is going to be haunted.
Right.
Or even interesting for that matter.
And it could be a historic location.
Yeah.
It could be an old thing, and they want you to investigate, and you don't find anything. But then it doesn't perform on command either.
Right, it could still be there. Just the timing could be off.
It's like, yeah, no, I'm not dealing with you guys. Like, thank you very much, but I'm gonna go. They won't interact.
Yeah, we went to
Mm-hmm.
the dance studio in Langley. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Where the music kept turning on. And it wasn't a song that was how was it? It was
It wasn't on their playlist
yeah.
for the studio.
Wow.
And it was turned on at full blast.
And it just kept repeating and turning on, and
Yeah, we turn it
Wow.
off. We walk away and come back on again. It's like, okay, let's unplug it. Let's unplug it. So I unplugged it. It came back on again. I'm like, it's got no power to the actual stereo. What's going on?
Yeah.
yeah.
But I
Wow.
don't feel it was malevolent. It was
No, it was trying to get our attention,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and we were kind of
Are a
ignoring.
lot right? So are a lot of the spirits that you encounter, are they like
Malevolent?
wanting to cause harm, or are they more the friendly ghosts?
No, we've had a couple that have been malevolent and nasty and
Mhm.
quite violent, but the majority are just people that are confused, don't know how to move on. They're either they're trapped or maybe they're here for a reason that they want to look after somebody while their relative is still living. But on
Mhm.
the whole, no, we haven't really had a whole heck of a lot of really nasty.
Well, when we were at the Colmont,
The coal monk was different, yeah.
the up on the third floor, it's a condemned floor, and we were up there, and we got three of our investigators were up. He was downstairs in the room. I was outside in the trailer, and they heard, "Troy, do not go in the room." All three, and they thought it was him.
I'm
Mhm.
3 floors down.
He's 3 floors down, and this building is still up from the 1911, 1910.
Yeah.
So it's got, it's been, the first and second floor are not condemned.
Mhm.
The third floor is. And so it's,
Wow.
solid, and, you have to pull back a thing to get into upstairs, and
Trapdoor.
trapdoor, that's it. And
Mhm.
they all three of them heard this, and they thought it was Glenn pulling a trick on them, and they came tumbling down the stairs to give Glenn crap, and they find him all the way down 2 floors of stairs. And we caught it on our camera, and they heard it. So the microphone on our camera.
Picked it up.
Mhm.
It just voice.
And because there was times there was a raccoon up top there, so you have to distinguish between animal noises, and it was quite the interesting
Mhm.
investigation.
Yeah, and we've done that a few times.
Yeah.
Same location.
Yeah. Yeah, there was stuff thrown at one of the investigators, wasn't it? Utensils thrown at him. They didn't like him.
Knives and forks.
They didn't like him. Well,
I've had a
either, but
I've had a knife thrown at me by a spirit in one of my apartments that I lived in back in Ontario, and it was quite the night.
Yeah, it's not fun.
no.
No. So most of the entities that you come across, they're just they're spirits of deceased, and they're trying to move on. Have you ever come across anything else, like any demons, shadow creatures, that sort of thing?
Shadow creature, yes.
Shadow creatures, definitely. 100%.
Demons, no.
Poltergeist, yes.
Poltergeist, yes. We were at in a park, actually. At a location that the first fort had burnt down.
Fort Langley.
Fort Langley.
Oh, yeah.
So we weren't at the actual park itself where, the people are. We were down the road where the
original Fort Langley was.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a black mass go through both of us. I came down with pneumonia 2 days later.
I had that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it went through, there's 4 of us there, and they saw, both Bill and Troy saw it go through both of us. Plus us seeing it was a black mass. And
it can actually affect you physically when you get that kind of thing happen to you. Like, we spent 4 or 5 times pulling over to the side road so I could puke out the window because
Wow.
it does really hit you quite hard when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, that was at a house, and one was in Maple Ridge,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah. They went, and he went straight into him and took him
Mhm.
over for a bit.
Yeah, being taken over by something you have no control over is not the greatest of feelings ever.
And then he got hit in another park in Crescent Beach
Well,
because they found out that he said, like foolishly, that he was an ex-British soldier. And the First Nations peoples that were there,
what impressed?
weren't impressed.
Wow.
Well, we got an EVP, which is electric voice phenomena.
Electronic.
Or yeah, okay, electronic. What was saying, "Yes, sir," when he's just after he said that.
Huh.
Let me go.
Yeah, because he was an officer in the British Army, and that's what he said, and we got a yes, sir, and we're in a park. Some of the, because sometimes you go out, and these are just parks or whatever, and you're getting into just public places that have residual energy,
Mhm.
and you just try and see what's there, because sometimes you don't want to just go into a building or a residential.
Yeah, but it depends. Because I'm such a historian to begin with, I look for historical places that I can do. I'm not really a big fan of doing residentials as such,
Mhm.
but when it comes down to the history of the location, I delve into it before we even get to the location, find out what happened there, what was involved, what could have caused the haunting.
Mhm.
That's my thing. Whereas other
Yeah, you want to know what you're getting into.
yeah,
Yeah.
I need to know the history.
Mhm.
Just one of those things. Being a historian, it's the first thing I look.
Right.
Gotta look for the history.
What's been one of the most, I guess, terrifying experiences that you've had?
Well, that park one was kind of horrifying.
And I got bitten at Riverview Hospital.
You got bitten in Riverview Hospital, but you didn't know it.
No, I didn't. Until after the fact.
Yeah.
What happened there?
We were shooting a show there,
Mhm.
which is kind of par for the course. It's the only way you can get into Riverview is by being on a show.
Right.
So we were shooting a show there. I think it was Van Helsing, I believe.
Yes,
and,
it was.
we had like 2 hours downtime in the middle of the day. And
Mhm.
with me being a historian and curious about Riverview Hospital, guess what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I'm taking off.
One of the benefits of working on the show, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to sit on my phone. I'm going to go snooping.
Snooping around
Mhm.
all the way from the attic all the way down to the tunnels underneath.
The crease clinic there.
Yeah, that was an interesting location. Anyway, I came back to get back into costume again.
Mhm.
One of the guys who I was changing with says, "Oh, wife's real kinky, huh?" I'm like, "Wait." Says your leg. She bites your legs. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's right there. And I look down on the back of my leg on the side
Mhm.
with teeth marks.
Wow.
That was happened while I was down in the tunnel, I'm assuming, or somewhere I shouldn't have been, that they didn't like me being there. I didn't feel
Mhm.
it. But when he pointed it out, you could see the actual teeth marks in my leg.
And I've got a picture.
Wow.
I've got a
We actually have
picture
a picture of that.
on my phone.
Huh. Yeah, if you could send some of that stuff over, that'd be.
Sure.
I'd love to take a look
Some
at
of the
it.
stuff might be a little hard. We would have to go through a lot of footage to find it
Mhm.
Oh, I can
on
find
the
it.
old computer.
I can find it. It's on mine.
That one, yeah, that one, that teeth mark is there. But I'm talking about some of those other
I
ones.
got O'Keefe on there as well.
You got O'Keefe?
Yeah, it's kind of a teaser trailer for
Mhm.
O'Keefe Ranch. It's about maybe 3-4 minutes long, and it hits all
Okay.
the interesting points of that particular investigation where stuff occurred. So I'll send you
Mhm.
that, and I'll send you a whole bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. So, how do you archive all these investigations, and what do you do with it after the investigation's over?
It depends on the client and what they want to do with. Generally, the information that we get during an investigation goes to the client. We keep a
Mhm.
backup, so we have information should we ever want to visit that location again. But for the majority of the time, the client gets all the evidence that we receive during their investigation.
And it's their location, so
Mhm.
it's up to them if we're allowed to share it, if we're not allowed to share it, because we've gone into places where have been, we've had things happen and we're not allowed to share it because the client has said no.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's pretty private if
Yeah.
Well,
something like this is happening to them.
you
They
don't
don't
want to
want
make it public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looky Lou's coming around and knocking on the door. Come to investigate.
Yeah.
And not.
And so, as a group or even as people, you have to respect that. Some people don't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's a big thing for us is, if you tell us, it's your evidence. It's not our place to tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys started the Canadian Paranormal Society.
2009.
2009. Tell us a little bit about that.
Originally, I was a member of the Vancouver Paranormal Society, which didn't last too long because the lady who was in charge of it was not conducive to the group that I was kind of looking for, or the ideas of filming the same things that I was looking for.
And don't be rude to his wife.
No. She was rude to her, and that was the end for me. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So I left, and 6 or 7 people came along with me when I left, and we formed the BC Paranormal Association. And when I went to do my society registration, they wouldn't allow me to use BC. Oh. Well, how about Canadian Paranormal Society? Just as a joke, I put that out there, and I think, you can have that.
You can use Canada, but you can't use
BC. It was Canadian.
Canadian.
Oh, Canadian. Yeah. Sorry.
We couldn't use Canada.
But we could use Canadian. And we couldn't use BC.
That sounds weird.
Well, it's trademarked by the government of Canada and by the government of BC.
Right.
So pretty much it was a whole bunch of like-minded guys from Vancouver Paranormal Society decided, let's go with Glen. We've got all the equipment too. We've got all the decent cameras, and it worked out well for a while. But personalities clash, egos clash, and before you know it, they left, and then I ended up forming the Canadian Paranormal Society.
There's a lot of egos involved in this field.
It's not like we get paid to do this.
And and don't get us wrong, we had an ego as well. Now it's a lot different. We just don't care about all the dramatics.
It's 43 years for me, and you're about what, 10 now? 10 or 11?
12 13
years?
14.
14 years.
And we just don't want the dramatics, so
you don't want the drama. No, it's pointless.
Yeah,
waste of time.
Like
people claiming investigation sites as their own, saying, "No, you can't go there. That's my investigation." I'm like, "Yeah, excuse me." The client asked us to come in, so you know what?
Yeah,
right.
It's not your call.
Yeah,
it's not your call.
The client is king, I think is a word.
Yeah, it's like that with so many things. Like with our web design business, you got to do what the client says, and if other people can't come in and boss you around, it's the client.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the thing, and so many, like we've had the Bailey House in Merritt, the Bailey House Museum, where you got sick out of that one, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't mind, so a lot of these places don't mind us talking about it because, it's good for business, kind of do their non-profits association. So, more people that come in, the better it is for them.
So having the actual fact that their place is haunted for them creates business.
Yeah.
With the paranormal tourism type stuff going on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I guess it's like the residential homes that you get called into that they may not want people
we don't mention
publicly announce that, my house is haunted.
Well, we went into a big tourist spot and they didn't want it posted.
That's fine.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we never have, and I still will not talk, we had forks and knives thrown at you, didn't you?
Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah. It was in the restaurant, and there's things being thrown at them and things being dropped on the floor, and it was quite interesting. They loved the evidence, because we went back and did the evidence and stuff of that nature. They loved it,
Yeah, but still.
but they
Mhm.
asked us not to say anything, so we never have.
Right. Yeah, and you have to respect that.
Yeah, we've been, I think, a lot across the province. Would love to get to a few places outside of the province and do
Mhm.
them, which and there's a couple of other places that we haven't seen that we're working on to go and see. But we don't do a lot of investigations anymore, per se. A couple a year. It's
Mhm.
We don't actively do it. People usually approach us now. I don't actively approach other, sites to do it.
Now we have a pretty good reputation with the Canadian
Paranormal Society.
groups.
We've been to several conferences. He's talked at several conferences.
Kentucky and Winnipeg.
And we just did Fan Expo. Anime,
yeah.
Vancouver Fan Expo, was it?
Yeah, it was the Fan Expo.
Yeah. That big one in Vancouver a couple months ago.
Mhm.
He just did that one too.
I don't mind standing up and talking in front of a whole bunch of people about what I do. It's fine.
Right.
And it was kind of ironic because I was filming it on my phone, and I walked
Mhm.
back, and I hadn't been on my new job for very long, and there's one of the people that I work with grabbing my hand, right, and going, "Oh my
Right.
goodness, this is a really small world." And then there's some other people that used to ride my bus as a transit operator, and they're there,
Mhm.
and they're going, "Oh my gosh, we didn't realize it was you guys."
Yeah, we were packed that day as well.
Yeah, you didn't. It was just a town hall, and we didn't realize it'd be that busy. But it was packed with standing room only.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
and Lydia, was very good.
Yeah.
She does Vancouver ghostly tours. So, Lydia Williams is her name. She does Vancouver ghostly tours. So, if you guys ever wanted to do that,
Mhm.
she'd be interesting. She's quite knowledgeable about
She's
Vancouver.
quite good too.
Yeah.
Like we've been working with John and Karina now for what, a couple of years.
2-3 years now. We
Yeah.
met because you met them at the Sasquatch Inn.
Yeah.
They were investigating Sasquatch Inn in front with TMP.
Yeah. True North Paranormal,
Okay.
which is a television show. So
Yeah.
they're
Mhm.
actually doing stuff, and because we just been in there, and he knew of me, he says, "Can you come in and do an interview with me on what you experienced while you were actually at the Sasquatch Inn?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Mhm.
And we've been friends ever since.
Yeah. We just hit it right off
Yeah.
because they're really, really,
They're like us.
they're like us.
They're not like any other investigator. They're exactly like us. They're a couple.
Mhm.
They've been married quite a few years, and
She's a medium,
yeah,
and she's very good.
She's a very good medium.
Yeah.
And they're very real. They don't. They're just who they are, and they're
Mhm.
just absolutely lovely people, and we love being around them, and like-minded when it comes to investigating.
They live in Falkland, BC, so it's quite a distance to
So we don't get
Yeah.
to see them all that often. But
Right.
camera.
Got to coordinate.
yeah,
What's it like doing an investigation with a medium or with people who are more sensitive,
like me,
like you?
I'm an
It's okay.
empath,
compared-
so I'm
It's
an
okay.
empath. It's
Like-
okay.
I'll use what she's feeling in corroboration with the evidence I'm picking up on audio or video. So it kind of works out in numerous ways. Like the EMF gear we use, the electromagnetic field gear, is
Mhm.
pretty high end, and if she's asking questions and we're getting responses on our EMF gear.
Well, I feel things. Like, I'm not a medium per se. I'm an empath. So a lot
Mhm.
of times when I get the feelings, oh, am I starting to go away?
Slip off the screen.
Slip off. The feelings that I get is just like when I got attacked at Fort Steele, I nearly fell over. And he's watching me, and I'm falling into the jail cell.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, out. Out. Go.
Because I think a lot of it was because, I was having some blood issues. And I wasn't as strong as I could have been. Be able to block it. And he found a weakness in me.
Yeah.
And attacked me.
Exploited that.
Exploited that.
Have you ever brought anything back with you?
Yep.
He has.
Yeah. Not pleasant. You have to clear your own house.
Yeah.
It gets pretty bad.
Yeah, I actually got this is kind of a weird story. It happened last year. I was driving just left Surrey Central on my transit bus, and I was coming up to Old Yale Road, which is like literally, and there was a gentleman. He was having CPR performed on him he was a homeless gentleman across the street from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting at the light, and his spirit hit me.
Oh, wow.
And he was confused. He was angry. And I'm driving a bus. I can't stop.
Well, the worst thing about being an empath is, unless you know how to shut yourself off or close yourself down temporarily, create yourself with that white light, you will get attacked a lot because they can see you. They know you can see them, or they know you can hear them. Because I'm clairaudient, which means I get to hear them. Rarely do I ever get to see anything, unless the energy is so strong that you get a partial operation, like maybe from the feet up to the waist.
That was the
Yeah, that was it. What was that?
SS Sycamoose.
Yeah, where you see half a person instead of a full person.
Well, at the Sasquatch Inn, you got the guy with the duster.
Yeah.
Yeah, he because sometimes they have enough energy, he sees them.
Mm-hmm.
But it took me like 2 hours all the way to White Rock and back to finally get him to leave me. Like, I know how to get him out of there. Right. I had to convince him because he was confused and angry.
Mm-hmm.
He died. He literally, and when I came back, all his stuff was being removed because he died right there on the sidewalk, which, is too bad. But I did eventually get him out. But there I am driving, going like this, trying to get him out. You can leave. It's okay. Go to the light. Go to the light.
Mm-hmm. Even when we did Fort Steele, like I make sure that I cleanse everybody after we're done with sage, sweetgrass, and various other little things I have in my pot that I merge people with. But that helps. You're not going to carry that spirit home with you. Mm-hmm. And you always tell them at the end of the show, you're not allowed to come home with me. You can stay here.
You have to stay there.
If you don't want to move on, stay here. You're not coming with me. And generally, before I enter my house now, I wipe my feet. See, that's the barrier.
That creates the barrier.
You're not getting through the door.
And a lot of times we'll put salt on the corners of like our doors and some of our windows and stuff, which is also a Haida thing as well. They salt.
A lot of our beliefs are based on the Red Path First Nations beliefs. It's the spirituality as opposed to religion. We're not based on religion. We're based on spirituality.
But some of the religious practices are definitely right as well, like Archangel Michael and stuff of that nature. So there's a lot of religious symbols that are used as well that we use over religion.
So I guess just going back to like protecting your home and cleansing it, I've read and I've had friends suggest using chalk over the door. That's
old school?
That's old school.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much. You can actually do symbols on your doorway as well, which these back in the 1800s, 1700s. That works as well, I guess, if you believe in it.
You have to believe in it.
You have to believe in what you're doing.
Right.
You can't just do something and expect that. You okay?
Something just bothered my nose. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
It's good thing I'm far enough away from the mic that it doesn't blow your ears out.
You basically have to believe in the protection you're using. That's how it is, the mindset. Not necessarily what you're doing, but the mindset of, what I'm doing is going to protect me. Including carrying crystals and various other things that we always have a bag of every time we go. There you go. This one.
There's a crystal.
Okay.
Which reminds me, I've got to hit the full moon and
you have to charge them up again.
Yeah, I've got to charge that. I didn't get anything off that, so it hasn't been charged for a while.
Yeah.
So usually when I pick it up, I feel it. but it hasn't been charged because I was not here in the last full moon.
Yeah.
So
Plus, I generally carry a bag of protection stones with me if I'm on an investigation. Now, it's what you believe in that
Mhm.
helps your protection, not so
It's
much
just-
what you think protection is going to do, but what you believe in itself.
Right. Yeah, because I've used sage before, and the salt in the corners of the room.
Yeah.
And I think that helped
You can use Palo
in my
Santo as
situation.
well.
see, one of the
Sorry?
things, one of the
You can use Palo Santo as well.
yeah,
Okay.
one of the things we do is we usually take out the negative energy, and when you sage, you open your windows and your doors,
Open your doors and windows.
because otherwise
Okay.
you're just
Chasing it around
the room.
In the room.
It's got
It's going to have somewhere to go. So
Right?
you got to open the windows
Right.
and doors.
and that does make sense.
Hmm.
And then we use Palo Santo to bring back a positive energy back into the room.
So you use the sage and the sweetgrass and various other forms to clear, and
Clear it.
Palo Santo to enhance. So it's kind of a weird thing.
Hmm. So then, how do you recharge those crystals? You mentioned about the full moon. How does that? You just leave it out, or
just leave it out.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, put it outside and leave it out overnight.
And you can also wash it in salt too.
And then by morning, it should be fully recharged and ready for use.
Yeah, but then you have to recharge it again with physical words. Like if this was Janessa's stone here, I put it on my forehead, which is my second chakra. I say I enhance this stone with the power of protection. Done. Put that down. Good. Go on to the next stone. Same thing. Same thing with the next one. Same. If you got a bag of 10, 15
And this is not a
pieces.
protection stone anyway.
No, it's not.
It's a love stone. Yeah. It's a positive energy. It's a rose quartz. So protection is your hematite and a lot of your black crystals.
Yeah.
And of course, the purple one. Yeah. Purple crystal. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I got back yesterday, so I'm still trying to get back in.
Yeah, she's a little tired.
I'm a little tired.
Right.
I was in Alberta all week, and when I was in Swift Current, I got out to take a picture of this valley, and it was Medicine Hat. I wasn't in Swift Current. That's in Saskatchewan. I was in Medicine Hat, and I got out, and all I could feel was the ancestors, the Indigenous ancestors in that area.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite. And my uncle goes, "You feel that too, don't you?" That.
Right, pretty overpowering.
Yeah. It wasn't threatening. It was just.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I wish I had some a cigarette where I could offer them tobacco as an offering to the ancestors and thank you for protecting me and protecting the land. And because when we moved in here, we did that because we live in Chilliwack, and we asked. Glen was out there asking the ancestors for protection and giving them thanks for letting us move onto their land. Because we also live on this is an Indigenous land. And it's also, it's near the Chiat. I always have problem,
Chechen.
No, it's not Chechen, it's Chiacton.
Chiacton or something. I'm not quite sure the name of the band in our local area.
Because we live, that's the band we live on.
But our actual mentor for a while was First Nations Cree. He was a pipe carrier and shaman.
Oh man, he taught us so much.
Yeah, unfortunately he passed away, but that guy was an extremely interesting character at best.
Yeah, he was a Cree elder, and just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. Miss him greatly.
Yeah. Eagle Child.
Eagle Child, yeah. And every time, every once in a while I feel him around. He's checking up on us because
he's checking in.
Yeah.
Making sure we're still walking the right path.
The spirits and stuff that you've come across, you believe that they are spirits and not like entities from other dimensions or anything like that. They are deceased people and who are trapped and are looking for a way, potentially looking for a way out.
I can't really say for sure that it's not interdimensional, especially when it comes to shadow people. That kind of confuses me a bit. Like, there's no interaction as much. They're just standing there. And they watch. They watch you. That's all they do.
They're terrifying.
So, yeah, they are quite terrifying. What are you doing?
Why did you clean that?
Sorry, I'm cleaning the base on my microphone stand.
And you're looking down, and I'm going to stop.
So before we end it today, we on the show we drink a lot of coffee, and we talk about coffee a little bit when Jen and I are doing our banter back and forth. So my final question to you guys is, if you could have coffee with anyone in history, who would that be? And would it be on one of your investigations, someone that you've come across?
Tough one.
Well, we could have gotten the two guys from Supernatural.
Yeah, I actually invited the guys from Supernatural to come on an investigation with me. And I'm like, oh no, we're not doing that. We just pretend to be investigating on TV. We're not going to do a real thing. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I remember that one. Because I remember you coming home saying, yeah, I invited them.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, no.
They wouldn't do it, eh?
No, that's real stuff.
Mr. Glasses.
Yeah, they kept calling me calling me the glasses, because I had these big, brown, huge things when I first got on set.
Right.
Oh, the glasses are back! I was on that show like a million times. All the way from season 11 up to the final
season. Yeah,
season.
There was, I don't think 12 you were on. And I don't
12 I wasn't. I was on end of 13, beginning of 14, and most of 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So like...
who would I? I would love to have coffee again with Keith Age.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's the rock and roll ghost hunter. He's from Kentucky. And he's just such a nice man.
He runs the Louisville Ghost Hunter Society.
Yeah. I would love to have, because he's got so much knowledge. He's been doing it for years. The other one I didn't get enough time, and you did, was Johnny Zaffis.
Yeah, John Zaffis. Yeah, he's the godfather of paranormal
Ed and Lorraine Warren's nephew.
Okay.
Okay. You know who they are, don't you? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's just a really humble man.
But a demonologist, very knowledgeable on everything paranormal. Like, that guy's our godfather, basically.
Yeah.
As far as paranormal.
Because he's in his 70s now, isn't he?
He's getting out there, yeah. He's still doing a lot of conventions and speaking tours and stuff.
Yeah. But he's just one of those really knowledgeable, like, he just researches and does everything that, like you said, he's a demonologist. He knows what's what.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was on the Haunted Collector. I don't even remember that show.
No, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting show. I know him and pretty much the entire cast on that show personally. But it's kind of nice that he's still out there.
Yeah.
At his age. I'm like, man, he'll be 50 years in the field now. I'm like, damn, you got me beat by 7.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
50 or 60?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
He's getting up there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show this week.
Not a problem at all.
Have you guys experienced anything like Glen and Janessa have? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your ghost stories. If you like this episode, please subscribe or give us a thumbs up depending on where you are listening. If you like the show but not the ads, head over to Apple Podcasts where we have our premium channel. You get commercial-free listening, early access to new episodes, and bonus content, all for less than $2 a month. Go check us out. Well, that's it for this week. But before we go, remember, being paranoid is smart. We'll see you next time. This has been a Story Monkey production.